Good morning, Belfield. Hope you're doing well at home and hopefully we can be together at school soon. I thought we would start the morning off with a little bit of mental maths. These questions are mainly aimed for year one, but if you're in year two and watching this, you can do them as well. You'll need a piece of paper or something to write on and something to write with. And if you pause the screen, have a go at the 10 questions that are on the screen now, and then I'll show you the answers on the next slide. Okay, here's the answers if you've managed to have a go. Well done if you managed to get over halfway. In the morning when we have these questions, the children normally have about between 5 and 10 minutes to complete these. So you can see them on the screen. If you have struggled with any of the questions and you're not sure the methods of how to work them out, then please contact me on the school email address and I can get back to you on how we would solve them in class, or we might be doing a video on those methods shortly. So this week it is a World Environment Day on Friday, the 5th of June. So we're talking about recycling in school and how we can help look after the environment. So have you heard the word before? Do you know what recycling is? Do you recycle at home? This might be something that you want to talk about with your adult. You might want to have a little look around your house, see if you have any materials that you think can be recycled. I'm sure many of you do anyway. So let's have a little look. So if you've seen this logo before, this is the recycling logo. You'll find this on materials that can be recycled. So have a little look around your house and see if there are any materials that have this logo on. I think you'll find them in the kitchen mostly. So we've got some materials here that can be recycled quite easily. We have got a milk carton here. Do you know what material this is made out of? Let's have a little look. So material is cardboard. So most paper and cardboard can be recycled. So if you have a cereal packet or a delivery recently that's come in a cardboard box, those materials can be recycled. You've also got a green bottle here. Do you know what material this can be made out of? So it's glass. And most glass can also be recycled. You might see bottle banks when you go shopping sometimes, and that's where most glass bottles can be recycled. And then we have a can here. Some of you might have a drink out of a can sometimes, or you might have certain soups that come in cans. Do you know what material that's made out of? So it's made out of metal. So most metals can also be recycled. So lots of materials that we can find in our house. And then we have, hiding in the back here behind the magpie, a yogurt pot. And do you know what a yogurt pot is made out of? It's made out of plastic. So most plastics can be recycled as well. So you might not have a cardboard milk carton at home, you might have your milk in a plastic container. So we normally have lots of plastic things in our house. So there are other materials that can be recycled as well. You can see fabric can be recycled, so old clothes that you are no longer using or that you don't want anymore, or that might be broken, be recycled and reused and made into something new. Electronics, so old phones and laptops can also be recycled. Food, some of you might have the small food waste bins at your house, so food can be recycled. Not into new food. It can be put into compost and it can decompose and help the soil in our garden. And batteries, so we've got batteries that can be recycled, and garden waste. So instead of putting that in the normal bin, some of you might have a special bin where you can put your garden waste. So any of the leaves, or if you've cut the grass, you might have it in there, or some of you might have some trees or bushes at home that have to be cut and maintained. So there might be the materials that go in there. And I'm sure your parents have been doing lots of gardening recently and the garden waste bin has been full. I know it certainly has at my house. So why do you think it is good to recycle? So I want you to take a couple of minutes, have a little think. Instead of throwing everything in one bin or throwing things, on the ground, which would be littering, why do you think it's good to recycle our materials? So recycling is good because it means that we have less rubbish littering our world. If you can see that picture there, can you imagine going for your walk or going to the park and all of this litter being everywhere? In the rivers, on the grass, would you want to go to the park if it looked like that? And what do you think about the animals? How would they feel if their environments were littered like that? And this helps protect our animals if we're recycling and being responsible with our rubbish. And it protects the animals and their homes by making sure that less rubbish ends up in places like in the forests and in the seas. And it also means that if we're recycling things like paper, so if you've read a newspaper, you can recycle it, it gets sent to a factory, and then it is made into new paper which can be used again, then it means that we're cutting down less trees. So we're not destroying those homes that might be used by the animals. So it's good for the environment to recycle. Do you know where the recycling goes? So once you've put it in the bin, it's then picked up. Do you know where it goes then? So we know that we can recycle our rubbish at home, and we put it in the recycling bin, and then a truck comes to empty the bin from outside our homes, and then it's usually taken to a recycling centre or recycling factory, which you might take yourself sometimes. If ever you've been to a rubbish tip, then you might have recycled yourself. If some materials are too large to put in the bin, then you take them to that tip yourself. So the rubbish is sorted at these large places called a recycling facility. It's put into large bundles and then taken to factories where it can be turned into something new. And how do you think that rubbish is recycled? Let's have a little look. So glass and metal are washed and then broken into small pieces. The pieces are then melted and made into new things such as glass bottles, glass jars, metal cans, or even metal parts for cars. So some car parts can also be recycled. There you can see the paper. So the paper is put into these large bundles like that, and it is washed and then rolled out into these huge containers you can see in the picture there, and left to dry, and then that's turned into different types of new paper and card, such as the newspapers that we mentioned earlier. And you can see there with the plastic. So we do throw away a lot of plastic in this country, and you might see on the news sometimes that that's one of the issues that we need to be careful with in our country. So some plastic can be recycled, not all plastic, so you do have to check if it can be, and it's crushed into very small pieces. You can see on that picture there, and these pieces are then melted again, so there's lots of heat being used and turned into new things. You can even turn plastic into t-shirts. I didn't know that. Some carpets and new plastic bottles. So some of the water bottles that we might be using were previously different bottles that have been recycled, and they usually have this on the label, so it's always good to check. Okay, now I thought we would watch a little video. So it's about a little girl, and she has a yellow bag, and she finds rubbish and she manages to turn them into something new. Now there's no words, so you can have a little listen, and you listen to the music and watch and see what's going to happen. So you can see there's been some littering here. And she's put these pieces of litter into her yellow bag. What do you think is going to happen? And look at what comes out of that yellow bag. A beautiful, bright rainbow. What has she found? She's found a feather. Where do you think that's come from? It goes into her yellow magical bag. Wow, look at what's come out. one single rose then turned into a beautiful rose bush, came alive again. Then that looks like a plastic bottle to me. And she's put this into a yellow bag, and it turns into oceans full of seas. Oh dear. She's going to very carefully sweep up that broken glass into the yellow magical bag. I wonder what this is going to turn into. A starry night full of twinkling stars. Oh, and then her whole family's there to enjoy it. So, that's a video from Literacy Shed. So if you wanted to have a little look at that website, there's lots of videos that you can watch that you might want to write about, draw pictures about. But with that video there, I want you to have a little think about what you would do if you had a yellow bag. What items would you put into it, and what would it turn into? Imagine that you had a plastic bottle, like the little girl in the story. What would that turn into? If you managed to pick up a can in your house and you put it in this yellow bag, what do you think that would turn into? What would it be recycled and reused and made into? So I want you to draw a picture of yourself with the yellow bag, putting in an item, and then it turning into something magical. Use your imagination. And if you can send these pictures by email into your teachers' school email address that you have for year 1 or year 2, then please send them in. We would love to see them. If you would rather write a story, because there are no words in that video, you could write a story to describe what's happening. So you could write a sentence for each picture, showing me what's happening in the story. Remember to use some adjectives, like I did when I was talking about the video. So remember, adjectives are those describing words, so you can put them into your story. Or you could even ask your parents or the grown-ups in your household if you can do some junk modelling. So if there are some materials that are going to be recycled, perhaps you can use them first and turn them into something new. So you could use cardboard boxes, or maybe the plastic bottles, or any tubes you can find around the house. Now remember, you might need to ask a grown-up to help you if you're going to be using scissors, or if there's something sharp. I wouldn't advise using metal objects, so stick to cardboard, paper or plastic, and you can have some help. Maybe it's a project that you can do together. You might also want to do some of your own research on recycling. There are lots of good videos on the BBC Bite Size page, and they will direct you and show you how recycling happens. They even take you inside some of the factories and show you there. So have a little look, do some of your own research, and if you find out some interesting facts, we would love to hear them. Okay, so I'll be uploading some more videos and some lessons today and all this week. Please contact us if you have any questions or comments through your teachers. And I hope you all have a lovely day. See you soon. Bye.